Morning everyone. So today I thought I'd share with you, I've agreed to do a challenge on one of the Facebook pages that I follow. It's a Halloween journal swap. I accepted to do it and I've got about a month or so to make the journal. It's a 2 signature Halloween themed journal. But I thought I would go through the whole process with you, as video it, and it might help show different techniques that I do along the way rather than just making it on the side. I'm going to use a hardcover. This is just one of my daughter's old books, which I've taken the insides out of. As you can see, there's a little hole there where I took out the pages and just cut through. That isn't a problem because I am going to reinforce this to give the strength and the edges there some stability before I cover it. I'm going to put a fabric covering on here. This is the fabric that I'm going to be using. It's just some scrap velvet that I've got that's a two-toned, which I thought would be quite a good fabric to use for the theme that I'm doing. And I'm going to line the inside with the inside of the fabric. So the outside is going to be the velvet side, and the reverse side of it I'm going to put on the inside. I have already cut the pieces. The way I do that is I just lay the fabric down on the floor, lay the book over. I cut round the fabric with a bit of a margin around the edge so that I can fold it over like so. Only a small one, doesn't need to be big. I just cut roughly around there, and then for the inside I laid the fabric down and I put the book on top of the fabric, and I just cut around that with a rotary blade and then trimmed a little bit off so that it would sit with inside the book edge. It's a rough cut. That's the look I like. I'm not bothered about it being immaculately measured and what have you. So to start with, this is the same as how I would do any of my hard covers. I take the insides out and then I just reinforce the spine. I don't need to change it because I'm only putting 2 signatures in here. So if I wanted a larger spine, I would just remove it along those 2 edges, make a wider spine from a piece of card, thick card. I use ring binder card. The cover, it's absolutely super to use. I really shouldn't have used my fabric scissors to cut this. There we go. Yeah, I find that card is really strong. It's almost the same thickness as a rule as the book that I'm using, so it makes a good spine and it's easy to cut with a blade, with a Stanley knife. So now I'm just going to run down each spine edge with a piece of gaffer tape. You can use parcel tape, but I like to use this. I just find it's a bit stronger. And it's not going to be seen because I'm obviously covering it. Make sure you firm it down well. My creases out, and then that will reinforce it. Where I've got that little hole, it'll weakened it there. So if I just put this along both of these edges, which then crosses over in the middle, which gives that stability and strength as well. You could do both sides. I just do the inside. I don't feel I need to do the outside edge as well, but you could do if you wanted to, just to give it some extra strength. And that's all I do. That one's actually crossed over onto that, so that's good because that's giving it some extra strength there. You could put another central piece on. Don't think I need to. That feels quite secure, and I'm covering it in fabric, which again will give it some more stability. Alright, on to the sticking on of the fabric. So I'm going to do this hard to tell which is the right and wrong way with this. I like it so it rubs downwards. Not sure. Let's have a look. Which feels nicest? Okay. I'm probably going to do some mixed media on the cover once I have the fabric on and I've made the structure of the book, because I just enjoy making the covers. That is very much my thing. I love doing the mixed media and trying out new techniques and new things. So I'm going to use Fabri-Tac glue. So first off, I'm going to glue around the edges in the centre of the front cover. I go along the edge as close to as possible, plenty of glue along there, up that ridge in the spine, and then I just do figure of eights all the way down. And I'm also just going to zigzag or spiral, whichever, up that edge of that spine and down that ridge. And that's where I'm going to stop. I want to get my fabric on. So I'm just going to do rough lay, flip it over, and then just move it along slightly, line it up where I want it while I still can, making sure that I've got enough edge just to fold over for my book. Okay, and once I'm happy with where it's sitting, press it down slightly, turn it back over, and I'm going to smooth it out now. I'm going to push it into there. Make sure you've got no wrinkles in the fabric. Don't want to there. That's just patterns in the fabric. If you've got any crinkles, now's the time to just pull them out. Quite forgiving this fabric is. Some aren't so. Put it down on my spine. And just down that ridge as well. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm going to fold this back and I'm going to apply the rest of my glue now onto this page. I find if I try and do it all in one go, the glue this goes off so quickly, and I just don't have time. And it also gives you that little bit of leeway if you need to sort of just reshape it without glue being all over the entire cover. Okay, so up that side there, sure puts me in that gap, and then my figure of eights. Okay, and I remember to put my stop back in there. Okay, then I fold this back, and again I'm just going to smooth that out. Make sure I push it into the creases on the spine. Okay, and that is the cover glued on. Then I'm going to flip it over. So now I'm going to stick down these edges because I'm going to put a cover over those to hide them. I start with the bottom, the long edges, and the top, and then I'll go in on the sides. I just cut the corners, not right up, just close to the corner. You need to leave a little bit of fabric. Don't, if otherwise your book hard case will show underneath. That one and this one as well now. Okay, so that's those bits done. What I'll do is get my glue, and I'm going to go along this bottom edge first. So right from the corner, and a dab of glue right the way along. End. And then I start at this edge, and you need to pull it quite taut, but don't overstretch it. And just feed it onto there. Don't worry if it doesn't go all the way to the top of this edge. You can always trim a bit of that off if you want to, because you're going to be using a cover over all of this. Just trim these loose little pieces off. There, like so. Turn it over and do the same on this edge. Start on that edge and go right the way along. Just come in a little way, don't be right on the very edge. And then again, a bit of a pull, not too much. Just go along, folding it up. Making sure it sits nice and snug onto the edge, but don't over pull it. Okay, so there your top and your bottom. I've got so much glue on my hands now. Okay, then I'm going to go along this edge. So I'm going to glue along there the same as I've just done, but before I actually stick it and pull it up, I'm just going to tuck that in there and then lift it, and it'll give me a nice neat corner. So let's put your glue on first. Make the way along the edge. And then tuck that in and pull up. You're doing exactly the same as before, folding it over, making sure it sits snug but not too tight, and then tuck it in like you'd do a parcel, and you get a nice neat corner then. Flatten it all down. And then we're going to do the same on this one. And you glue along the edge. This time I'm going to put my stopper in before I forget, and the glue starts running down my bottle like it usually does. Just get the glue off my fingers. Okay, so tuck in. Not a lot to tuck in on that one. That was a tight corner. Pull it up, and away you go. And then just before we get here, see there, there's very little on that one, so I'm just going to pull that one up nice and tight. I've just managed to get away with that one. You can put corner protectors on, which I do on most of my books, and that'll stop that from fraying there. Okay, so that is the outside cover on your journal. Okay, that's how it looks. It's nice and neat, neat edges, neat corners. So what I will do now is I will put my inside. I am sewing my signatures in. I'm going to put the holes in and I'm going to hand sew them in. So I like to have I'll probably put beaded or something on the spine when I sew them in. So I want it to sit on this. You can, there's so many different ways of doing your spine, but this is how I am going to do mine. Now I've decided I could go full velvet, which I might do actually, or we could reverse it and do purple. I'm going to do full velvet, I think. Why not? There. I'm going to do a full velvet. So, same again really. All I'm going to do is go around the perimeters. I'm going to start on one side and then work my way along, because otherwise your glue just goes off too soon. So I'm going to go actually onto the fabric edge, because this is what we want to stick it down onto. So we're going to cover that edge. And I'm going to come along the bottom. And then I'm going to go up here. Now it's important you get plenty of glue on here. We want this to stick onto here. And then I'm going to do my figure of 8. I'm going to do my spine. Stick this down. It's not perfectly cut out, it's rough cut, but it'll do the job. So now you can tease around with your fabric. Try not to get glue on this because this is the side that's going to be seen. You've got gluey fingers like I have right now. Slightly, because that's slightly overcut on this side. Crinkle there, look. That's folded underneath there, so we can just pull that out. Okay. You could do that actually, you could just fold it in so you've got a neater edge. But it's stuck now, so we're good. Okay, fold back, and then we do the same on this side. I apologise if you can hear the cars going past. It's quite a warm day, so I've got my window open. I have a lot of tractors going by today. If you see any loose bits like there, look, just run a little bit of glue along. Okay, and again, I'm just going to fold that over like we did before, smoothing it onto there. Any little pieces that you feel like you want to trim that is just there going over the edge, so I'm just going to lift it. I'm just going to trim that edge. I'm just going to trim along that edge. Tiny little bit. So it sits a bit nicer. Okay, so that is the outside and the inside of my journal. Oh, that's not stuck down there, look, let's put a little bit of glue along there. Any little pieces like that, you can always go back, just add a little bit of glue. Push it back down. Okay. Cut that little tail off. Okay, so that is how I cover a hard book journal. So the next thing I'll be doing, I will be choosing the signatures, I think, and popping the signatures in. So I will do this video in different parts. So this will be the part 1, and part 2 will be getting the signatures together and probably sewing those in. Okay, so join me next time. Thanks, bye.